be reviewing what we learned on Thursday. However, I'm going to tell you directly what the method is, and hopefully there will be no confusion. Actually, I'm going to give you 3 different methods that you can choose from, and I hope that it won't be the kind of thing where you confuse the methods with each other. If that's going to happen, when you hear it, listen for the easiest method, Ashley. Listen for the easiest method, and as soon as you hear it, you can sort of blank everything else out, okay? And so, to start out, let's sort of give a context to what we're talking about. So far, we've learned how to multiply a single term with a single term, and sometimes I put them in parentheses like this. X times, let's say, 2x. And what you do is you just do x times 2 times x, combine the x's to make x squared, leave the 2 in front. That's just multiplication of 2 terms. And then we have distribution, which is you have one term in front of parentheses, and inside the parentheses you have a polynomial, which, if you recall, a polynomial is when you have multiple terms being added or subtracted. So that could be like x plus 3. And so the difference between up here and down here is that one of the terms...
Pull it down, we can't see it.
Yeah. The difference between up here and down here is that in the parentheses right here, you have 2 terms, and in the parentheses right here, you have 1 term. You could also write distribution like this, saying you have a single term multiplying by a 2-term polynomial. Math language would say it like this. 1 term means monomial. More than 1 term means polynomial. Mono is 1, poly is many. So you have mono times mono, mono times poly.
Mono is a sickness.
It's like 1-on-1, yeah.
Yeah, I get it.
Mono y mano.
Isn't mono a sickness?
And then you have the problems that we're going to work on today, which are poly times poly, which means
Poly.
x plus 2 times x plus 3, and you need a way to be able to multiply these, because it's not distribution, although it's kind of similar in a way, but I would have to explain that to you. It's a different method, and people have different names for it. One is the FOIL method, and then some people do just longhand multiplication. And I also have one that I call the smiley face method, which isn't originally mine, but that's the one I tend to go to. And so the FOIL method. FOIL means, you can spell out the acronym first, out, side, inside, last. That's FOIL.
What did you
see that.
Whoa, that's really bright.
What is it? Front?
Can you like zoom in?
So you got first, outside, inside, last are what the letters stand for. And if we use this example right here, x plus 2 times x plus 3. It means in both of the parentheses you multiply the first 2 things. Those. Then you do the outside terms, so the terms furthest away from each other. That's the x and the 3. And with that, you can kind of see how it connects to distributing. Because what you're doing with first and outside, so this first line is the first, and the second line is the outside terms. You're taking this variable, and you're distributing it to both of those. So you got your first and your outside line. And then your inside and your last. What do you guys think is going to be the inside terms?
2 and x.
Maddie? The 2 and the x. They're inside because they're between the outside 2 terms. And so 2 times x, and then lastly 2 times 3 is the last terms in both of the parentheses. And so you then see that we're distributing the 2, the x and the 3. And when you multiply those out, you gotta add or subtract them based on their positive or negative sign. So you got positive x, it's going to be x squared.
I just tell you.
3 times x, or x times 3, I'm going to write it as 3x, and that's a positive 3x, so we're going to write the plus. Then the inside terms, 2 times x, positive, so plus 2x. And then the last two terms, positive 2 times positive 3 is positive 6. So then we have this statement, x squared plus 3x plus 2x plus 6. It is not finished, and if you guys remember from the project-based learning math, I had you guys take the inside two terms and replace it with a letter. Similarly, when you deal with a lot of these, the two inside terms might match. 3x plus 2x are similar terms, so you can add them.
So x squared plus 5x.
That equals 9x.
Everything. All right. That's the go-to method for most math teachers that I've had. Now there's the smiley face method, and it's basically the same thing, but you draw the lines differently. So I'm going to do x plus 2 times x plus 3.
That's like a
And the smiley face is on top, you draw 2 eyebrows. 1 eyebrow, 2 eyebrows. And you can see the numbers that they're connecting. The left eyebrow is x and x, the right eyebrow is 2 and 3. Then on the bottom you have your nose. And so that's the inside terms, and then you have your mouth.
Oh, I see it. I get it.
This is kind of freaky.
That's kind of cool, though.
oh,
It looks cross-sided if you look at it.
So you got to make sure, first of all, that your smiley face has a unibrow.
It goes down his nose.
It has a unibrow. Do not try to make eyebrows by connecting these, the x and the 2. And don't make an eyebrow by connecting the x and the 3. It has to have a unibrow. So make sure that they cross over each other. X and x, 2 and 3. And when you do that, you follow the lines. You multiply where the lines are connecting. So x and x, 2 and 3, 2 and x, x and 3. And then you do the same thing as you did above, combine similar terms, and finish it. And I stick with the smiley face because it actually has a use for later on when we're going to learn how to go backwards with all of this. I would give you an equation like this, and you'd have to figure out how to put it into parentheses and to separate it and factor it out. But you don't need to know that right now. So, Maddie?
What if it's like 2x plus 2? Then what do? Do you leave it as 2x and that's the term? Or would you like grind chop it in half?
So if it's 2x plus 2, that 2x, you carry the whole term. And so suppose that it's 2x plus 2, and you're multiplying these first terms. So 2x, x. It'd be 2 times x times x.
So 2 times x squared?
Yep, exactly.
Okay.
All right, longhand multiplication. This is the method that will help you to be able to solve 2 polynomials of any length. And it looks like this. It looks like a grid. And what you do is you write your first on the top, so x plus 2, and then your second one on the side, x plus 3. And you can sort of match them up. X times x is x squared on the inside left corner. And then the next spot in your grid is x times 2, Lars. X times 2, 2x right there. X times 3, 3x. And 3 times 2 is 6. And now you have all your terms on the inside, and before writing them out, you can try to match them up and say, I've got similar terms right here, and I know those are going to add to 5x, these two terms. And so, x squared plus 5x plus 6. So those are your 3 strategies that I know of. Good. All right, let's try these examples. I'll just ask questions and you guys answer them as we go.
Actually,
Yeah, you can just leave the video camera on the screen. So x plus 3 times x minus 2 if we're using the FOIL method. First terms. What are our first terms?
X and 2.
Maddie? X times x or x squared. Our
2x.
outside terms.
Oh,
We got 2x.
Lars?
X and 2.
X and negative 2. We have a minus 2 here.
I know that.
X and negative 2. So we got minus 2x. Inside terms.
3.
Luke?
Positive 3x.
Plus 3x. And then our last terms. Ellen?
Is it minus 6?
Minus 6. Combine similar terms and you get
X to the second minus 5x.
so you got a negative 2 plus 3, which means negative 2 go up 3 spaces and you get so just plus x and then minus 6. Thank you, Lars.
Welcome.
How about this second example, guys? Because this second example isn't like the other ones. It only has one polynomial listed. And this doesn't use the exponent rule where you can distribute the squared. You can't just throw the square down to each number because there's addition on the inside. And let me show you why. Exactly by writing it out longhand. If it's x plus 3 squared, that means it's x plus 3 times itself. So it looks like this. And the only way to solve that is by using the FOIL method. Coming up with all the terms multiplying each other. And so whenever you see a polynomial squared, do not use the exponent rule. You can only use the exponent rule when you have something like this. When there's only one term on the inside. So down here you can just FOIL those and I'll quick write out what that is. First term is x squared plus 3x plus 3x plus 9. And when you multiply numbers, a lot of you guys sometimes confuse whether you're adding them or multiplying them. You're doing 3 times 3, which is 9. And this simplifies to x squared plus 6x plus 9.